suspense, sharp tone. The command was clear: take the shot. The words came through his earpiece, crisp, undeniable, heavy with authority. He had heard them before, countless times. Each order had blended into the next, missions blurred into a rhythm of breathing, aiming, firing. But this time felt different. The ground was hot, baked by hours of relentless sun, the kind of heat that burned through clothing and made sweat sting the eyes. His rifle stretched out before him, a familiar weight pressed into his shoulder. The barrel was cool despite the heat, kissed by shadows of the rocks around him. Through its scope the world narrowed to a perfect circle. Everything outside that glass ceased to exist. There was only the target. He drew in a slow breath, let it ease out, then another. Each inhale matched the rhythm drilled into him years ago. Control the chest, steady the hands, make the heartbeat your metronome. His finger rested on the trigger guard, not yet curling, not yet committing. Patience was everything. The radio crackled again, softer this time. "Do you have him in sight?" "Yes," he whispered, voice flat, unshaken. Ancient stone ruins dotted the landscape, crumbling walls standing like broken monuments. The wind was faint, carrying the taste of sand and iron. A convoy had stopped near the ruins. Men moved in the shadows, their voices faint echoes carried on the air, and among them, the target. Through the scope, the figure sharpened, a man stepping into the open, his gait unhurried, his face partially shadowed beneath a scarf. The sniper adjusted his focus, tightening the dial until the world became unbearably sharp. Every crease of fabric, every grain of dust clinging to the man's boots, visible, undeniable. The target moved casually, unaware of the glass eye watching him from above. The command repeated, firmer now, take the shot, regener o. He thought of the dozens of missions before, faces forgotten, names erased before they were even spoken. It was never personal, it was always duty. His finger began to curl lightly around the trigger, his breathing slowed, and then something caught his eye. At first it was nothing, a flicker of movement, the sleeve shifting in the sun, but then the scope revealed it, a mark, a detail, something small but undeniable, and in that instant his breath faltered. The command in his ear blurred into static, because what he saw was not just fabric, not just skin, it was something else. The freeze, the body locked, the rifle felt heavier, the ground beneath him unsteady. The circle of glass no longer showed an enemy, it showed a memory, a fragment of something long buried. The radio hissed again. "Sniper 1 confirmed shot. Do you copy?" He did not answer. His finger hovered, frozen. And for the first time in years, the sniper hesitated. "Run longers, man," and reflective cliffhanger tone. The command had been clear, take the shot, but when his eye met the scope, what he saw shattered every order he had ever followed. And on that ridge, in the silence of the valley, a man trained to obey without question suddenly found himself unable to move. "Run longers, man, it is show in skavra stabon sruli." I'm shocked at Saposhal. What he saw ever drill, what he saw skafen at stipene, it stin I piddle ravel mord elapun, ravel lugintum puff. Hinis a falda, idem shrei I'm a restippertier, gena numpla. His lips parted, but no sound came. His finger hovered, trembling against the trigger. The target moved slightly, shifting weight from one foot to the other, unaware of the eye that tracked him from the ridge. But through the glass, the sniper no longer saw an enemy. He saw a fracture in reality, a memory clawing its way out of the past. "Run longers than, run longer'n what he yet to sank you calls one wakere, his ruloben and prestige." Rows of recruits, shaved heads glistening under the harsh sun, voices of drill sergeants slicing the air. Obey without question, hesitation kills. He remembered the feel of the rifle pressed into his hands for the first time, cold, alien, yet strangely comforting. He had learned to break himself down into parts, eye, finger, breath, heartbeat. They taught him to erase the face of the target, to see not a man, but an objective, not a life, but an assignment. And for years, he had believed them. The orders had been simple: remove the threat, secure the zone. He had hidden in the shadows, rifle steady, just as he was taught. Through the scope, he saw the man, a stranger, nameless, faceless. He fired. The shot rang out, clean, efficient. The mission was labeled a success, but when he closed his eyes that night, he saw the face, and it never left. The voice demanded again, louder this time. Static hissed, filling his head. His finger curled slightly, then froze. His throat tightened. His heartbeat raced out of rhythm, because this time was different. This time, the scope showed more than a stranger. It showed a connection. He remembered the barracks late at night, when training was done and the shouting had ceased. The quiet conversations, the laughter shared in exhaustion. One man in particular stood out, steady, calm, the kind of man who carried silence like armor. He bore a mark, faint but unforgettable. This, the man had once said, rolling up his sleeve to reveal the symbol etched into his skin, isn't decoration, it's survival. If you ever see it again, you'll know it's not your enemy standing there. The young sniper had nodded, half listening, not understanding, but now, through the scope, he understood. The detail wasn't random, it wasn't a trick of the light, it was the mark, the same symbol he had once seen in the barracks, etched into the skin of a man who had saved him more than once. His chest tightened, his mouth went dry. Through the scope, he was staring at something impossible, a piece of his past, alive in the crosshairs. Orders thundered in his ear. Sniper 1, fire now, that is a direct order. But his body refused. His finger trembled, sweat slicking the trigger guard. The rifle weighed 1,000 pounds, and in his mind, two voices clashed. The voice of command, obey, fire, complete the mission. The voice of memory, this mark means trust, it means survival. His heart pounded so hard it drowned them both. Another memory surged forward, mud, chaos, bullets cracking overhead. He had been pinned down, fear choking his chest. And then, arms grabbing him, dragging him out of the dirt. That same man, sleeve rolled back, tattoo glistening with sweat and blood, had whispered in his ear, "Not today. Breathe. Focus." That night had been the line between life and death, and now, years later, he aimed at the same symbol through a scope. A suspense rising climax. His breath stuttered, his finger pressed, then stopped. He couldn't. Every order, every lesson, every ounce of training shattered against the weight of recognition, because through the scope, he wasn't looking at a target anymore. He was looking at the reason he was still alive. The command was clear, take the shot, but memory was louder than orders, and on that ridge, with the scope burning into his eye, the sniper faced the impossible choice, duty or soul. He trembled, he froze, and for the first time in his life, obedience was no longer certain. Redefine setter, done. The radio hissed so loud it felt like it was inside his skull. Sniper 1, this is command. Fire now. That is a direct order. The words struck like thunder, merciless, absolute, but his finger did not move. It hovered, trembling, trapped between obedience and memory. The sleeve slid back, sunlight catching the mark, sharp and undeniable. Not imagination, not illusion, the same mark he had once seen in the mud, in the firelight, in the moments when survival had felt impossible. The same mark carried by the man who had saved him, and here he was, alive, in his crosshairs. Crosshairs, the rifle quivered in his grip, sweat poured down his face, stinging his eye. He had trained for this moment his whole life, to obey, to act, to fire without hesitation, but every nerve betrayed him now. His finger tightened slightly, then froze, his chest heaved, his vision blurred, and still the mark burned in his sight. Wanner Mortings, the Osterie, Hlove, Oikanagans, Talata Menbrative Tontinent fire, stars above, silence between words. If you survive this war, the man had said, rolling back his sleeve to show the mark, promise me something. Promise me you'll never lose yourself to orders. The young sniper had laughed nervously. Orders are all we have. The man had smiled sadly. No, orders end. What stays is who you are when you refuse to forget. Sniper 1, take the shot. The voice screamed again, desperate, furious. But he couldn't. The mark was no longer just a symbol. It was a promise, a bond, a debt he could never repay with a bullet. And in that moment, he understood. To fire was to betray not only the man in his sights, but himself. Slowly, deliberately, he pulled his finger away from the trigger. The rifle lowered, inch by inch, the scope sliding off the figure below. The crosshairs dissolved into empty stone and sand. His body shook, but his heart felt steady for the first time. He had disobeyed, but he had chosen. Ron Prackles again, demanding answers, but he heard nothing now. The valley was silent, save for his own ragged breath. Below, the man walked on, unaware of the storm that had raged above him, alive, and the sniper lay frozen, the weight of his decision pressing against him, yet for once it did not crush, it lifted. He knew the report would brand him a failure, perhaps even a traitor, but none of it mattered, because orders could strip rank, erase names, bury reputations, but they could not erase memory. They could not erase the truth of what he had seen, and they could not erase the life he had chosen to spare. Ron Prackles again. The command had been clear, take the shot, but when his eye met the scope, what he saw shattered every order he had ever followed. And in the silence of that valley, a sniper chose mercy over obedience. For in the end, it wasn't the rifle that defined him, it was the choice not to fire.